This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Today's discussion is Harvard isn't what it used to be. And this topic of Harvard not being what it used to be is apparent in so many different ways. Harvard has always been sort of a very positive place in terms of free speech. But as always, we need to figure out this mix of free speech versus intimidation. When you permit people to say, we want a second state, a two-state solution, most people, that's completely acceptable. Most people believe that at some point there should be a two-state solution in the land Israel/Palestine, whatever you want to call it today, no offense to anybody. But most believe, Jewish or not Jewish, that there ultimately has to be a two-state solution, but it has to be a two-state solution that's committed to peace with each other, because certainly you can't have a two-state solution where you're right on top of each other and one state is determined to annihilate the other state or vice versa. So most of us are fans of a two-state solution, and the press around the two-state solution seems to be completely appropriate. The second thing you see is that the next step is, are you allowed to use free speech to celebrate terrorists and who behead babies, who rape women, who take hostages, who do all kinds of things that we weren't supposed to have seen since the sort of Vikings ravaging the English or the world, 500 years ago, or pirates in the Caribbean. And this is no offense to pirates in the Caribbean, or no offense to Vikings, or to the Minnesota Vikings. But the concept that you can parade around and applaud people that kill and behead babies and rape and pillage women and take hostages is beyond me. And there is a great question as to whether that free speech should be permitted. I take it in some ways, we believe in free speech, maybe you permit it, but as a university, it's okay to condemn it. It's also okay to stop it when it bleeds into intimidation of other students. At this point in time, it seems like schools, universities like Harvard, I don't know the right answer on whether they have to totally outlaw that speech. They should outlaw it if it's actually intimidating and promoting violence against students and people on campus. But should they outlaw it if they say, no. But does a university have a spot to condemn speech that glorifies terrorists, killing babies, raping women, and so forth? Probably yes. The amount that you're seeing this sort of disintegration of the Harvard community, and like most of these things, it's often temporary, but you are seeing this in every shape or form in life. You see people, for example, former Harvard colleagues, literally summarily dismissing other colleagues that have differences of opinions on some of these issues. You see it day in and day out today, where those that used to have this pseudo bond of this Ivy League school, will summarily dismiss others that don't necessarily share the same thoughts. They may not, but this concept that the Harvard bleeds deep is often really bleeding deep today versus binding together. And we see that also throughout the Harvard community. So today's discussion is Harvard's not what it used to be. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Thank you very much.